So this past week we finally got an official unveiling for Destiny 2. We all knew it was coming, but now it's official and we got a very nice CGI trailer showing off kind of some hints at what we can expect to see in Destiny 2. And this video is going to be primarily focusing what I want to see from Destiny 2 PvP. In terms of PvE, I'm assuming they can't possibly screw it up again because it's definitely no secret that Destiny 1 at launch, in terms of a PvE experience, was pretty bad. I mean, there was literally no plot to be found. None of the NPCs had any personality whatsoever. And, well, the experience was basically just from mission to mission, take your ghost somewhere, stick them on a door or a computer, have them scan it, and then you fight off hordes of enemies. Then you go somewhere else and do that exact same thing, and you repeat that literally throughout the whole story of Destiny 1 Vanilla. And it was pretty unacceptable. But over the past few DLCs, Bungie seems to have learned their lesson in terms of variety, and I'm hoping all the lessons they learned from the DLC from Destiny 1 carries over to Destiny 2. And, I mean, based on the CGI trailer, everyone loves Kay and his charming personality. So hopefully there's going to be more personality, more interesting NPCs in Destiny 2 as well, because in Destiny 1, there was a severe lack of any standout characters whatsoever in terms of the plot, which is a real shame because, as many will tell you, the Grimoire had a lot of really fascinating and interesting lore and details that just why Bungie decided to have all this information on a downloadable app instead of in-game is truly mind-boggling. But that's the extent in which I'm going to be discussing about PvE. Since I spent the bulk of my time in Destiny 1 playing PvP, that's what I'm primarily going to be focusing on in this video, is discussing what Destiny 2 PvP or Crucible experience needs to do. We're going to start off with the bare minimum requirements. Destiny 2 multiplayer needs to run at a 60 FPS lock on consoles and an unlocked frame rate on PC, since Destiny is finally coming to PC, and the PC port better be good. That's all I gotta say, Bungie, because if you flop a PC port, you're never going to hear the end of it. But in terms of consoles, the Crucible experience needs to be 60 FPS. Why? Because no one wants to play a multiplayer experience these days that is anything less than 60 FPS. I mean, most PC gamers are running games at 120 plus frames per second with their 144 hertz monitors that can display, way more frames than just 60. But on console, you need at least 60 FPS. If the PvE side of Destiny 2 runs at 30 FPS, no big deal, no sweat. No one's going to really care. But on PvP, it needs to be 60 FPS. Why? Because anything less just has such an awkward input lag, and it just feels really sluggish. I mean, honestly, play Destiny and then play a multiplayer game on console that runs at 60 FPS, and you can immediately tell the difference in terms of how smooth and how much better it just feels. So Destiny 2 running at 30 FPS on competitive multiplayer side is no longer acceptable. And on PC, it needs to just have an unlocked frame rate, which I'm assuming they're going to do. But just in case, Bungie, please have the frame rate unlocked. Do not lock it down to 60 just like it has on consoles or some weird nonsense. Just keep the frame rate unlocked on the PC port, please. The next thing Bungie needs to do with Destiny 2 is have dedicated servers. This is not up for discussion whatsoever. If you want anyone, especially the PC crowd, to take your multiplayer experience seriously, it needs to be dedicated servers. You can't name one huge multiplayer game these days that everyone plays that does not run on dedicated servers. Anything semi-competitive, that people take seriously, runs on dedicated servers. And it's no secret that Destiny 1, when it ran on peer-to-peer, ran like fucking shit. I mean, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It ran awful. I mean, there was so much lag, so much just freakish things that would happen. I mean, you can log on to Destiny right now. You're going to see lag in literally the first 2 matches you play. Guaranteed. Why? Because it runs on peer-to-peer. And we are just not in a position right now where everyone has access to very good internet. And I'm not going to go into details about how, peer-to-peer does theoretically work and it's cheaper to maintain than dedicated servers. But unfortunately, not everyone has good internet speeds. Whereas dedicated servers kind of puts everyone on the most even playing field as possible at the moment. Is it going to eliminate lag completely? Absolutely not. You still see lag on dedicated servers. But I guarantee you, if you play any multiplayer game out there right now that runs on dedicated servers, you're not seeing nowhere near as much lag as when you play a multiplayer game running on peer-to-peer servers. You can tell the difference, just how much of a difference dedicated servers make on any multiplayer game. The next thing that needs to happen with Destiny 2 PvP is they need to have custom games or private matches at launch. The fact that Destiny 1 did not launch with that was completely unacceptable, and the fact that it took them 2+ years to finally add it into Destiny 1 is not acceptable. I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. That was completely unacceptable, and I have no clue why Bungie decided to do this. I can't even think of a multiplayer game off the top of my head that does not have custom or private games at launch. Like, go ahead, think of one. I'd love to hear. There might be something, but any major multiplayer game out there has custom private games at launch. And why Destiny 1 did not, beyond me. I'll tell you that right now. Now, the final essential piece of the Destiny 2 PvP puzzle, in my opinion, is a quality ranking system / playlist. Yes, there should be a social / quick play playlist where there's no skill-based matchmaking whatsoever, since I know that is a very touchy subject among the Destiny community. But you can't just have a ranking system and be like, well, that's where the sweats are going to be. It needs to be a good ranking system, and by that I mean I do not want Bungie to incorporate some bare-bones true skill system that is currently sort of being used in Destiny 1 at the moment. Because the fault with the true skill system in Destiny 1 right now and how it kind of like rates your skill is once you get to like 50 or whatever, you're just done. I mean, there's no real reason to keep grinding out. Your position's not going to really fall down by any stretch of the imagination. Once you're 50, that's it. And that was kind of the fault with Halo's ranking system. I mean, it was a good ranking system, but the problem was people would get to rank 50 and they had no incentive whatsoever to keep playing the ranked playlist at all. So with Destiny 2, if they do theoretically have a ranking system, they need to incorporate like an ELO sort of ranking system where there's different tiers you're placed in, you know, bronze, silver, gold, whatever you want to call it. And then the very top tiers, that's when you really get into like the try-hard sweaty leagues, and you can actually fall out of those ranks. And then there's like a leaderboard for like, I don't know, top 200 or something, kind of like how Halo 5 does. If you want to look at a pretty good ranking system on console, I would say look at Halo 5's. Once you get to Onyx, you're kind of placed into the sort of division. You can't really fall out of Onyx per se. You can go down in terms of Onyx points or whatever, but once you hit like the top 200, you are considered a champion. And you're not going to sit there, theoretically. If you stop playing, you're going to go down. You're eventually going to get knocked down to Onyx. So that is a system I would like to see Destiny 2 incorporate if they have a ranking system. Is a competitive ranking system with leaderboards where there is skill degradation at the highest level. If you're like bronze, silver, whatever, the lower mid tiers, your skill rating is not going to go down if you don't play, and you can climb up whatever. But it needs to be a quality skill-based ranking system, because if it's not a good ranking system, then there's no real point to even incorporate it whatsoever. So that's, what, in my opinion, something that's going to keep players coming back, keep grinding out, keep their leaderboard position, keep checking, you know, what's my skill rank or whatever, to always have something to grind out for, and maybe have some incentive rewards, have some, you know, cool cosmetics like, I don't know, exclusive capes or class items or weapon skins, I don't know, something cosmetic, nothing gameplay related. I don't want to see the rank playlist be something where you can get some god rolled guns. That is not what I want to see in the rank system whatsoever. But there needs to be something cool to like show off you're at the very top of the ranks. Have a little badge next to your name, something to show players that yes, you're the top to rank the Destiny player or whatever, and it'll keep people motivated to keep grinding out and playing your Destiny PvP experience. Now, what I just talked about are what I consider essential components for Destiny 2 PvP to be a successful, quality, competitive multiplayer experience. In terms of changes I would like to see be made from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, I would like to see Bungie rework the radar, because the fact of the matter is the radar in Destiny 1 kind of created a very strange, awkward flow. I mean, the range in which the motion tracker radar detected targets was just absurd. I mean, it made flanking damn near impossible. I would like to see them maybe look at, for example, Halo 5's radar system where you actually kind of have to be close before they pop up, or maybe change the radar to the point where you only pop up on the opponent's motion tracker radar when you are shooting your gun, double jumping, Titan skating, or Warlock gliding, or when you use your super, because the fact that it just shows you at all times unless you're crouching, and when you're crouching it flashes, just makes flanking just so strange in Destiny 1. I really do want Bungie to rework the way radar works in Destiny 2. I would also really like Bungie to really reevaluate what it means to create good, competitive, balanced multiplayer maps, because the fact of the matter is a lot of the maps in Destiny 1 are just bad. I mean, I can list all the good maps off the top of my head, like Rusted Lands, Shores of Time, and maybe Frontier. All these are Earth maps. So what do they all have in common? You can snipe on these maps, you can shotgun push on these maps, you can choose the way you play. And I'm not saying these maps are good or balanced, because they aren't. There are good and bad sides to these maps. But they are the only maps in Destiny where you can actually sort of choose how you want to play. Whereas every other map in Destiny was very cramped and forced everyone into close quarters engagements at all times. So I really do hope that Destiny 2's map selection includes slightly more variety in terms of how it lets players approach combat situations. And I really hope they have like a way to vote for maps in Crucible, because you couldn't vote for maps at all. I don't know what happened this gen where people were like, oh, map voting, meh. Yeah, I would really like map voting to return. I don't know why it was taken out. I mean, maybe if all the maps in Destiny 1 were truly balanced and good, I'd be like, okay, but they're not. And I really don't think all the maps in Destiny 2 are going to be really balanced. I'm also really hoping that this time around, the Destiny 2 beta, we actually get to play around with all the subclasses available for the Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks, because you didn't really get to do that in the first Destiny beta. You only got to play as Gunslinger, Striker, and the Voidwalker, and we really didn't get to test out all the abilities and nades and stuff. So I really do hope Bungie really opens up the floodgates with the Destiny 2 beta so we really get to test everything out, because that's another very concerning issue I have with Destiny 2 is we don't know how many subclasses there are, what abilities or supers they're going to have, and how they're going to work in Destiny PvP multiplayer. And another thing I really want to see is how the nades are going to work, because nades in Destiny 1 were just bad. I mean, there were so many cheesy nades. There were nades that you threw and they auto-locked on and tagged you automatically. Just threw them in the general vicinity of an enemy, and that's all you had to do. And then you had like sticky nades that, there's nothing wrong with sticky nades per se, but there's something wrong with sticky nades that one hit kill you, that like seek you out. If Destiny 2 wants to fix something very simple right off the bat, you want to keep sticky nades? Cool. I don't have a problem with sticky nades, but please do not have tracking on sticky nades. Make them like Halo sticky nades. You throw a sticky nade, it sticks, one hit kill. It doesn't seek out their targets. And I'm totally cool with seeing the return of trip mines or lightning nades, as it requires skillful placement to be used effectively. Same thing with the incendiary nades, as those are just essentially frag nades to do damage over time. Another very controversial topic in the Destiny community is kind of gun balance and how it's going to work in Destiny 2. And to be completely honest, I don't really have a perfect answer for how Destiny 2's guns and weapons can perfectly be balanced, because at the core of Destiny, unless they rework how Destiny Crucible works altogether, is a game about killing enemies, looting a bunch of guns with varying strengths, legendaries, rares, exotics. With the exception of exotics, who all have universal perks, you can have a legendary weapon and it can vary from another person's legendary weapon because they might have had a different role with different perks that affect them in different ways, and that is very difficult to balance. And combine that with the different subclasses and melee abilities and nades, and this is a very difficult task Bungie has ahead of them in terms of Destiny 2 balance. And that's probably why Destiny 1 was never truly balanced, because there's just so many variables that Bungie has to really look at. I just really hope with Destiny 2 it retains more of the higher time to kill that Destiny 1 originally had, because after a while, Destiny almost transitioned into a Twitch shooter where you were 3-tapping people across the map with some of these weapons, and I really don't want to see that again in Destiny 2. But we'll have to wait and see what type of guns they have. I really hope they add SMGs, which they never added in Destiny 1, which is truly disappointing. I really want to see submachine guns introduced in Destiny 2. But I've rambled on long enough. I'm curious, what do you guys think of Destiny 2? Are you guys excited? Were you guys burnt from Destiny 1 and you guys aren't even going to give Destiny 2 a chance? What do you want to see in Destiny 2 in terms of changes for the PvP experience and PvE? Leave your thoughts in comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this more old school gameplay of me getting a bunch of kills or whatever. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.
A single victory doesn't win a war, but it's a good start. Good work.